And we are starting with some breaking news coming in amidst nationwide protest that we have been witnessing over the controversy surrounding the latest government and forces scheme, Agnipath, that has come to the fore. The centre has now raised the age limit for the Agnipath Military Recruitment Scheme to 23 from 21 amid nationwide protest against this new model. Meanwhile, we are witnessing early morning chaos in Balia. This is in Uttar Pradesh, and we have the first images on our screens right now coming in of these protests that have been underway, and how once again, even as the government has announced an increase in its age limit, the protest and chaos continues.
So a day that saw large groups of people, especially the youth, blocking roads, pelting stones, torching train coaches, targeting BJP officers and leaders. Morning pictures that are coming in from Ballia as the blowback singes multiple states that we are looking. Even the government there is forced to dispel any misconceptions. But now the Defence Ministry has said that the upper age limit for the recruitment process for the Agnipath scheme for 2022 has now raised to 23 years. Now the ministry has said that it has not been possible to undertake the recruitment during the last 2 years, but the most violent state of all remained Bihar. Straight away going across to Priyank right now. Priyank, even early morning pictures that are coming in from UP's Ballia, and the outrage continues. All right, in Samastipur as well, Bihar was worst hit, Priyank.
So also there are several areas of... Abid, can you hear me?
Yes, please go on, Priyank.
Yeah, certainly. It's not only some portions of the Bihar which was witnessing all these protests which was happening regarding this Agnipath scheme which has been launched by the government. But there have been several misconceptions which has been printed in the mind of youth of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, which is certainly resulting to these kind of violent protests which is happening across the country. We have just got these visuals from Balia. You can see that lathi charge is also being done on all those protesters who came out on the street. Just a short while back, we also got the visuals from Balia, which is in the Buxar district of Bihar, where there are many of these small, offices which were made on the platform for those linemen have also been burned down by these protesters. On Friday morning, these angry protesters have come out on the street. There have been several calls which has also been made by various political parties to come out on the streets of Bihar as well. But very dramatic visuals coming out even at early morning hours from Balia in Uttar Pradesh, which is also one of the major hubs for all those students and youth who have been appearing for these examinations in the forces.
In fact, continue to be with us, Priyank, even as we have been playing two set of visuals on our screen right now coming in, one from Balia and the other from Araha as well, that is in Bihar, where we have been witnessing, Priyank, several such states across the country where there has been a blowback as far as this latest scheme is concerned. Any more action that we are expected to be taken now that the centre has announced that the age limit has been increased?
See, we are talking about an incident which is certainly a result of misconception which has gone into the mind of the youth. After the government, once again came up with this policy that the age limit will be increased from 21.5 to 23, this message has also not gone on properly to the minds of those aspirants who wanted to appear before the exam. We saw a statement coming out from the Raksha Mantri himself. We saw several interviews which is being given by head of the Defence Forces at various platforms in various media organizations also. But still there is something which is certainly coming up in the mind of these aspirants, which is making them come out on the streets and attacking these railway tracks. But if you look at the kind of protest which has happened in this stretch of the route which starts from Gaya, which goes towards Delhi, it very clearly symbolizes that there is someone who is certainly guiding them. Because if you halt the rail lines from Patna to Delhi, then it will affect the route of hundreds and thousands of trains which operates in this particular line from Bihar to to Delhi, which is the national capital, and it also crosses Uttar Pradesh. So it's quite clear that they have been instructed that if you block this particular train route, then the government will be coming under pressure. If you block this particular and keep on attacking these railway lines, then the government will come under pressure. So this is certainly not the mind of all those aspirants who have been busy in preparing for these examinations or have been busy in studying. There has been, what it appears to me, because I'm stayed throughout my life in Bihar, and I have also covered many portions of these kind of protests. There is someone who's guiding these youths to specifically target the train route, so that the moment the train routes are affected, the government will be coming under pressure. So
all right,
apart from
just
bringing
on
out,
that, we're getting live reactions even this morning as the protest continues in different parts of the country. Let's listen in.
चलो विद्यार्थियों का भी मार्क्स सही है, जायज है। आर्मियों की जो ट्रेनिंग की बात कर रहे हैं, 2-2 साल के लिए ट्रेनिंग देनी पड़ती है, पढ़ाई करने के बाद एजुकेशन पूरा होने के बाद भी इन लोगों को जो शास्ति देना पड़ता है आर्मियों के लिए, जो ये लोग मार कर रहे हैं, उस चीज़ के लिए भी सही है। लेकिन
इन लोगों को कहाँ गलती होगी? यात्रियों के लिए नहीं सोचा इन्होंने। यात्रियों के लिए अगर इन्होंने नहीं सोचा तो सरकार की तरफ से कुछ पहल की जाए। अंदर से आर्मी पुलिस वाले स्टेशन मार्शल वाले बोल रहे हैं चलो बाहर जाओ, 1 हफ्ते तक कोई इलाज नहीं है। ऐसा थोड़ी ना है। जो गाड़ी जिस
आपका नाम क्या हुआ बस?
मेरा दीपक जोशी। उपाय भी नहीं है ऐसे।
All right, so those were the reactions coming in from the people on the ground. And once again, going back to, in fact, Priyank. So, Priyank, live images coming in from Samastipur. We have Balia and Ara as well, where these protests have been underway. And these are railway stations and trains that have now been targeted.
Yes, certainly. What we witnessed, what we saw yesterday, that in this particular route, which is basically Ada, Beta, Buxar and Dumrao, where the stations have also been set on fire by the youth, was the main target for these individuals. And if you talk about what is happening in Balia, is also similar to the locations of the railway station. So primarily the railway track and railway stations are coming as a major spot of this protest. The youths are very rarely coming out on the street, and they are trying to block the normal highway. There was only one incidence of a block National Highway, which was on the route of Behta towards Aurangabad, which is in Bihar. But the fact remains that the targeted attempt to stop the rail route is something which is very significant, which can be seen as a major development in this protest which is happening across the country. But the manner in which these protesters came out in Balia was certainly shocking for the law enforcing agencies, because the protest started early in the morning. They could not have anticipated that something like this could happen. At this time, because of the Friday prayer call, which was done last week, and we saw a protest happening at around 40 locations of the country, the agencies were already on high alert. They knew that the Friday prayer is one of the most prominent challenge which will come up for them for this Friday. And when the deployment was already on the ground, these set of protesters came out against the Agnipath scheme. Since the police officials were already present on the ground, they had to lathi charge batons were used to disperse the crowd just a short while back. On the other side, from Bihar, we have also seen that how stations, small offices were also set on fire in Dumrao, which is barely 120 kilometers away from the state capital of Bihar. So series of protests happening across the country, but the most significant thing which need to be looked into, that why these youths are only targeting the railway track. Whether they want to give a clear message to the government is certainly clear coming out from the voices which we heard from them. But certainly it's not spontaneous. It's not something which could not have been seen, because the gathering of these youth generally happen near the coaching institute, colleges. But instead of coming out or the protesting near the government offices and colleges, the protesters have moved towards the railway track, which is not something common.
Absolutely, Priyank. We're just trying to get in more reactions on this story, because right now we are still witnessing protests, and and almost in different parts of the country, protests were witnessed over this Agnipath scheme. But in Bihar, if we talk about specifically, because it is the JDU BJP government there, many BJP offices and leaders have also been attacked. And this is also coming at a time when the decision has been taken as no recruitment has been taking place in the last 2 years. So the government has in a way tried to make amends, and 23 is the new age that has now been decided by the government. Priyank, we'll come back to you. We're looking at multiple states where protests have been reported in UP, in Haryana, in Himachal, in Uttarakhand, in Jharkhand, and even in Delhi, and the worst hit has been Bihar so far. Let's get you the detailed recruitment plan of the government, which has now been announced, which was unveiled this week by Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh and led to violent protests across the country, agitators demanding its rollback. The scheme has produced to hire at least the youth aged between 17.5 to 21 years of age can take up jobs in the armed forces for a tenure of 4 years.
Amid protests, the centre has now raised this entry age limit to 23 years as a one-time waiver, and despite that, we have been witnessing these protests yet again this morning. Take a look at this report. Protesters hitting the streets in anger against the Agnipath scheme launched by the centre just 2 days ago. The violence represented the resentment among the youth, many of whom are aspiring for jobs with the armed forces. They are now under the impression that the new scheme is going to replace the old one, reducing their chance for landing up with prestigious stable army jobs with perks and pension. Bihar was the worst hit. From Ara to Jehanabad to Motihari and Munger, protesters vandalized public property, burnt tires and police vehicles, blocked railway tracks. In some places, the vandalism resulted in injuries to men in khaki as they tried to get the situation in control. The anger was directed at the centre and even a state where the BJP is in power. The party had to face the wrath of protesters. In Nevada, the party's office was ransacked and set ablaze, and one of their MLAs were attacked. She recalled the moment of R on camera.
आज हम लोग के साथ घटना हुआ, हम लोग आ रहे थे नवादा, और नवादा में हम लोग के पता नहीं था कि इस तरह के मैंने सब अच्छी धरना दिया हुआ है, चाहे तो ऊपर कर रहा है, हम लोग के पते नहीं था कि हल्ला हंगामा हो रहा है, तो हम नहीं आते। हम लोग अचानक आए, उसके बाद झंडा बोर्ड नोचे और ईटा पत्थर बरसाने लगा पूरा। अभी भी ईटा जो है 3-4 गो गाड़ी के अंदर है, शीशा पूरा चूर दिया, बॉडी चूर दिया, गाड़ी के अंदर बांस है और गार्ड के चोट लगा, ड्राइवर के लगा, हम लोग के लगा, इतना ने ईटा बरसाने लगा ने कि कुछ कह नहीं सकते। प्रशासन के तो एसपी साहब ने किए 2 घंटा हो गया फोन करने,
तो कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं मिला, और
वो बोले कि ठीक है हम डीएसपी साहब से बात करते हैं, तो हम ही लोग भी सुरक्षित है, तो हम पब्लिक क्या सुरक्षित है।
The opposition firmly believes that this scheme is disastrous and must be withdrawn. The Congress has even warned to be on the streets till the decision is revoked. The BJP on its part is putting out facts to dispel any possible misunderstanding. BJP chief ministers have even come out to promise preferential jobs for Agniveers in state police force and disaster management agencies. However, the protest continues, as does the politics.
देखिए, हम मांग करते हैं कि सरकार तुरंत प्रभाव से जो अग्निपथ भर्ती योजना लेके आई है, इसको वापस ले, क्योंकि ये योजना रंजीता जी ना तो देश की सुरक्षा के हित में है, ना ये योजना देश हित में है, और ना ये योजना जो नौजवान जो फौज में भर्ती होंगे उनके भविष्य के हित में है। 17.5 साल में भर्ती होगी, 21-22 साल में लोग वापस आएंगे। पहला साल ट्रेनिंग में जाएगा, आखिरी 1-2 साल इस चिंता में जाएगा कि आगे क्या करेंगे। ये जो रिक्रूटमेंट की पॉलिसीज़ हैं, जिससे इतना व्यापक रोष हो रहा है पूरे देश में नौजवान में, इन बातों को लेकर संसद में एक दिन की चर्चा, विशेष तौर पे जब संसद का सत्र शुरू हो, राजनीति से ऊपर उठकर इन चीज़ों पे चर्चा होनी चाहिए।
छात्रों के लिए, युवाओं के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी उपयोगी योजना है। इसमें लाखों रोजगार के अवसर भी प्रदान होंगे, साथ साथ राष्ट्रभक्ति का भी जागृति होगा। देश के युवा शक्ति को रोजगार मिल रहा है, सुनहरे अवसर प्रदान किए जा रहे हैं, तो उन्हें भड़काने का प्रयास किया जा रहा है।
The centre and the BJP have unleashed the PR machinery to neutralize what they call opposition's fear-mongering on the issue. Even ex-servicemen and defence experts are trying to explain the benefits, such as severance package of about rupees 11.7 lakh, permanent jobs in military for every fourth Agniveer, and how it will cut the huge pension bill for the armed forces. While upping the numbers of recruits, the detractors have claimed that short service may make Agniveers risk-averse and dilute their loyalty to the supreme cause. They also suspect that their skill set will be inferior, thus bringing down the quality of the country's defence. CPM leader and Rajya Sabha MP Dr. V. Sivadasan has now asked the Defence Ministry to withdraw the scheme in the light of opposition. Now, all eyes are on the government's ability to sell the scheme to the job-starved youth. Times Now Bureau Report.
Meanwhile, the centre and the BJP have now unleashed the PR machinery to neutralize what they call opposition's fear-mongering on the issue. Even ex-servicemen and defence experts are trying to explain the benefits of this reform.